Hi everybody, Jennifer Blevin-Smith with Integral Clinic Solutions, and you're watching my YouTube channel, Navigating the Business of Medicine. Today I want to talk about Q1 review. What that means is we are almost through the whole first quarter of 2023, and it's just, I can't believe it. Time has flown by so fast. But since you are almost a full quarter into the new year, I just wanted to talk about some things that you should be looking at in your practice to make sure that things are on the right track. So if you needed to fix anything that maybe is going a little sideways or needs to be addressed, you can do it now so it doesn't affect your whole year. The biggest thing about insurance companies is the way that they change things on a whim. And unfortunately, it's like the first of the year is a really big time that they like to do that. I have noticed that they like to change where you're sending claims, and they might send you some paper notification or an email to an inbox that maybe you don't check very closely or it went to your junk mail, and you don't even realize that you're sending claims to the incorrect place for this payer until you get a bunch of rejections. And this is very frustrating, especially depending on the volume of patients that you see with this particular insurance. And it could be a lot of work to try to correct, because not only is it going to affect the people who have to correct those immediate claims to send them to the correct place, but it could affect your front office with registering patients. It could be something that your management needs to be aware of. So if you have multiple locations, that all locations are aware of this. So, I mean, it's not just the immediate, it needs to be looked at upstream as well. So you need to make sure that insurances are still receiving claims at the same electronic payer ID if you send them electronically, or the same address that you send if you're sending paper claims. If you're getting rejections and it says that it needs to be sent somewhere else, that's when you need to really start diving in, get on the horn, and address it right away to fix the immediate stuff and also anything that could be coming down the pipeline. And just remember that after you fix everything, you're still going to have some collateral damage that was not fixed because maybe it was in the process and you couldn't get to it. So don't be surprised that even after everything is fixed, even upstream, that you don't still have some stragglers coming through that you're going to have to fix. That's totally normal. You also want to see how your front desk is doing and making sure that they are truly reviewing patients' coverage and insurance eligibility and benefits when they register them, check them in, because if you're getting a lot of denials at your clearinghouse or from the insurance company saying that the patient's policy was expired on date of service, they can't find the subscriber or the entity, those types of situations, those responses, then you know that your front desk or whoever's registering your patients is most likely not updating their insurance information in the system, and they're not doing an eligibility and benefits check. That is detrimental. That is like the beginning of the revenue cycle starts at the front desk with accurate patient registration, and there's really no excuse for that. So it's one of those things. Do you have new people at the front desk maybe that aren't aware of the proper steps? Do you have someone that is overwhelmed and they're cutting corners that maybe you need to get them some help? Do you have someone that's just defiant and not doing what they're supposed to be doing? I mean, there's a bunch of reasons for this, but it's such a simple solution. It's something that can totally be avoided to send out clean claims, but it can make a huge impact on your revenue, especially in the first quarter to quarter and a half of the year, which is, quote, deductible season. And a lot of private practices can't afford that. So you definitely need to be looking at your rejection reasons for your claims over the last month, 2 months, 3 months to see where the trends are so that you can address those right away. That's where you're going to be able to make sure that staff is doing what they're supposed to be doing, that you have caught everything that needs to be done, and that you can fix things upstream so that everything goes through smoothly. The other thing you need to look at is making sure that the money that you're getting paid by the insurance company, or so they say, is actually coming into your bank. So we will see this huge influx of funds come in by the end of January, usually, if you got everything out by the end of December for the previous year, and then you'll get all those payments. But then after about the end of January, beginning of February is when the claims that you've started submitting in the new year get processed. And that's where you're going to start seeing maybe some revenue stream declining, because it's going to patient responsibility for deductibles. You're getting those denied or rejected claims because of issues that we just discussed. It could be that maybe something happened and the insurance company got new software. They, switched portals. I mean, who knows? I mean, insurance companies are always changing their software and the way they do stuff. And sometimes that does affect the information that they have about your practice. So maybe it didn't put the right numbers in, or it didn't translate into their new system for your bank account or lockbox. Maybe you never had issues last year with any of your providers getting covered as in network, but all of a sudden you're getting out of network denials and you don't know why. Like, you need to be looking at these weird outlier situations, and if you're not understanding the reason, you need to call the insurance company, especially if nothing has changed on your end and all of a sudden you're seeing changes from the insurance end. Something isn't right. So either something's loaded incorrectly into their system, they have a broken interface, something like that. And unfortunately, I would like to say that insurance companies should contact you when they have these situations, but they don't always know about it, they don't always catch it, or they're not good at communicating. So I really think that it is in your best interest of doing your own due diligence to making sure that everything is still operating and flowing the way it was before the new year. For some reason, just when people change technologies, even though they don't intend other things to get broken, it inevitably affects something else. And it isn't sometimes until someone else notices it and points it out that they even realize it was affected. So you want to make sure that you're checking your bank accounts regularly. And hopefully, per my past videos about this, you are doing daily or weekly deposit reconciliations to your payment postings to make sure that money's accounted for. But if not, you really should be. And this is a good time to at least start. So that's another thing. I would also check on your patient counts, your visit counts. See if you're seeing as many patients as you did last year at the same time or more. If you've added providers, trying to figure out if you're adding the other provider has been beneficial and if you're seeing revenue go up. And it's just a good time to kind of get a feel of how your year is going to go, especially, like I said, with those patient balances going to be a little bit higher for deductible season than receiving payments from insurances. And of course, it depends on your specialty as well and what kind of appointments you're seeing, but these are things to look at. Again, I've talked about this in a previous video, but look at your patient balances as a whole, your patient AR, see where it's at, make sure that you have an in-house patient quote collections workflow set up, and make sure that your staff's actually following through and doing it. Also make sure that they're collecting the copays at the time of check-in, which you should be doing all the time, but this is another good time to do that. They're asking for balances on accounts when patients are seen. Anything like that, it's a good time to just check and make sure that all of your staff is practicing everything as expected, their workflows are sound, and that things are running as expected, because this is a good time to nip it in the bud before it really starts getting crazy going into, once patients know their deductibles are covered and stuff, and insurances are going to start covering more of their visits, they're going to be seen more depending on your specialty, but you're going to see people wanting to be repeat customers essentially. And so you just want to make sure that as you get busier, or if you plan on adding more providers this year, or if there's going to be changes, that everyone has a solid foundation and everything is going well moving forward. It's so much easier to catch things right when they happen than trying to go back 3, 6, 9 months to correct it. It's a headache, it's frustrating for everybody, and so it's really good to be on top of it. I also like to kind of look at things as a, looking in kind of thing, just to make sure that there isn't something I missed in implementing and something that I'm like, oh shoot, I should have done this and told my staff about this. Because it's also a good time to check yourself and make sure, you know, things at the end of the year get super crazy, and then the first of the year you're kind of feeling that what I call holiday hangover, and it's easy to forget or miss things. And so it's a good time for, as a manager or an owner, to step back and go, okay, did I do everything I needed to do? Is everything running the way it's supposed to be running? And if not, maybe it's something on you that you forgot to do or implement. So it's also retrospective for yourself. I totally believe in being proactive and not reactive, but this is a good time to do some kind of quality control audit, quality assurance audit, just to make sure that things are going well. It's a good check-in time right before you get into that next quarter of the year. Depending on your specialty, you might have certain times of the year that are busier than others. So maybe your first part of the year isn't super busy, but maybe you're ramping up to get into that busy time of year. Like I can tell you in allergy, the first part of the year, not usually super busy, but you start getting into March, April, May, when allergies really start ramping up, environmental allergies, places are warming up, pollen is starting to go because things are blooming, and you just start getting super busy. And so it's just good to make sure that before you get super busy, crazy, that you have enough staff on hand, your staff has enough resources at their fingertips, they're feeling comfortable, they're not, you know, cutting corners with their processes, and that the revenue into your business is solid, because that's the backbone of any business, right? So, you know, that's just a really good time. Run some extra financial reports, check in on that kind of stuff, maybe sit in and observe all of your different staff positions and just kind of sit there and make sure they're doing everything as expected. Hopefully you know what their roles entail and what is expected of them, so you can just sit there and observe, or maybe even work up there one day and back them up and just see how they're doing, and let them know that you're watching, but also that you're there to support them and listen to them if they have any concerns or questions. If you have any other tips that you like to implement during this time of year in your office, please leave that in the comments below. Smash the thumbs up button if today's video was helpful, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thanks so much, you guys. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.